I'm half Italian, half Canadian, and I'm going to show you how my family turns this pork shoulder into sausage just like this. First off, you need the right tools, a few sharp knives, a meat grinder, you can do this by hand or have an electric one like that, some seasoning and some salt to make sure that the job gets done. And don't forget to bring your Crocs. So silly. So I actually start off by removing the skin from the pork shoulder, and the skin wraps right around, so I first make a cut across the bottom portion of the shoulder where there's less skin, and I cut as close as I can with a sharp filleting knife right underneath that layer of skin all the way till it's removed. Now the fat on the top portion where most of the skin's attached is actually helpful for the sausage, so I try and leave as much of that as possible. I then switch to a larger knife and cut off as much of the meat as possible from the bones. Now I'm leaving this in larger portions that'll be broken down later, but at this point I'm actually just trying to remove as much of the meat as I can. There are primarily 2 large bones in a pork shoulder, and they're pretty easy to find. And if you're like me, then after you're done, you're going to save those bones and turn them into a nice bone stock. I did break down multiple shoulders for this, so on to the next one. This is the size hole that my grinder has to be able to actually fit the meat into. So at this point, I'm taking these larger portions of meat that I've already cut off the bones, and I'm breaking them down into smaller strips that will fit within the machine to allow the machine to actually grind them up. And that's what they look like. Into the machine they go. I actually forgot to take a video of the machine grinding, but here is a picture of what it looks like as it's coming out. And once that's all out, you're going to have to measure them. My family's always done this by hand, and as far as what I had on the table here, it was 8 portions, which means I'm doing 8 handfuls of salt. Because I'm going to hang up some to dry, I did 6 handfuls of table salt and then 2 of curing salt. You're going to have to do this on your own, basically taste it along the way. And I'm going to show you how we do that afterwards, but it'll give you the opportunity to change the flavor if you don't like the way that it is. This here is fennel. Fennel adds a lot of flavor to the sausage, but I would go lighter on it at the beginning, and then if you want some more after you've tried it, then add some in. These are just chili flakes, so depending on how hot you like your sausage, you're going to add more or less of that. And then this is paprika. Now I really appreciate the flavor of paprika in the sausage, so I do add a fair amount, but this will, one, add a bit of flavor to it. It'll also actually change the color of the sausage. So instead of having like a gray color once it's cooked, it will add more of a reddish color to the sausage itself. So all of these ingredients, once it's mixed together again, I would always suggest trying it. And then if you need to add more of any of them in, then you'll be able to do that before you actually fill the casings of the sausage. We've always mixed our sausage by hand, so here's just that process and how I go through trying to mix all those ingredients together, make sure all the spices and salt are evenly balanced throughout the entire mix. And then I actually take some of the portion and put it in a small pan to fry it up so that I can taste it and see what it's like. At this point, if I needed to add a few more of those ingredients, I could do that. This is me actually feeding the casing onto the nozzle of the grinder, and then the meat goes back through the grinder a second time, now that it's mixed together, to be filled into the casings. This is the casing being filled here, and once it's filled, we actually tie the end off so that it's tied on both ends and finished. This here is just poking holes in the side of the sausage, so if you are to hang them, the air can get through and dry it out. Which brings us back to our finished product we were looking at before. That did get hung outside for a couple of months in a cupboard, and that's what it looks like when it is dried. The rest of it gets sealed, put in the freezer, and we can enjoy it when we need it. Thanks for watching.